Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are taking a look at another Primal Attack Mattel figure, and this is their brand new Sauropelta. Mattel was awesome enough to send this over to me for free within that Primal Attack box that I unboxed a few days ago. So a huge thank you, as always, goes out to Mattel for sending this over for us to look at and review here on the channel. Taking a look at the box, you can see the Sauropelta down there in the left-hand corner. You can see Sauropelta's name straight there in the center on the bottom, and then Owen and Blue giving us their very awkward look as always. Once we turn it around, we can see some more images of the Sauropelta and the action features that are in fact included. And then down in the corner, we've got a shot of the jumping Velociraptor Blue, the Tapejara, and Velociraptor Charlie, the newest version to hit stores. So let's go ahead, break our Sauropelta out of its box, and we'll take a look at it. So here is our Sauropelta. Really cool looking at first glance. I actually really quite like the paint scheme they've gone with when it comes to that reddish coloration and then the dark gray. It's actually very similar to the Sauropelta, which we now know actually had a color scheme pretty similar to this, which is definitely cool. I'm not sure if Mattel was paying attention to all the news on the Sauropelta or if this was just a coincidence, but definitely really cool as far as that goes. It's actually a little bit smaller, honestly, than I expected it to be in person, which is shocking. It's almost kind of attack pack size, but I guess the Savage Strikes normally are about the same size as the attack pack, so I shouldn't really be surprised, but at the same time I am just a little bit surprised that it's fairly small, but at the same time it does look to be really nicely detailed, as always when it comes to a Mattel figure. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt does look pretty good. However, I can say straight away that the head sculpt actually looks more like an Ankylosaurus than what you would actually find on a Sauropelta. So I kind of feel like maybe the head sculpt was inspired by the Ankylosaurus instead, but again, when it comes to a Jurassic World dinosaur, we don't have to expect exact science, we don't have to expect complete scientific accuracy. So we can always let things like that slide when it comes to Jurassic World figures, even if it is not scientifically accurate. As far as the actual detailing goes, though, I think it's really nicely done. You can see some very nice, very beautiful detailing and sculpt included in the head sculpt for sure, along with some osteoderms and everything all throughout the sculpting of the dinosaur. You've got a very nice dark blackish coloration here for the beak of our Sauropelta. You can see both eyes on both sides are actually really nicely placed for the most part. They're a yellowish color with a black pupil, and they do look really quite good. You can see, however, that mine actually has a little bit of sloppiness, I think. I don't think that's supposed to be there because it's not on this side, but you can see some gray color right there has been added to that area of the head throughout the red, and I don't think it's supposed to be there, but that's not the end of the world. Once we start to move back into the neck, you can see the armored appearance of the back starts to pick up, and it looks really cool. I would love to see one of these figures actually repainted. I feel like there is so much incredible detail in here that is just aching to be brought out with a more detailed paint job. But what we do have here is this nice reddish coloration, and it does look really cool. It actually turns out it starts to get a little glossy right there. It's like a very nice, very matte appearance up here, but then once you get to this second area of articulation right here into the back where you can see it articulates here, once you hit this point, it starts to get a glossy appearance. I'm not sure why. That is a little weird, and I would have preferred it probably not to have had that. But at the same time, maybe they were just kind of trying to differentiate the armored area from the regular underside of the animal. That may have been the goal with including somewhat of a glossy appearance up here on the back. You can see that the actual spikes that stick out of the shoulder area and the back and sides of our Sauropelta look really nice. Beautiful detailing within them. You can actually see some cracks and crevices throughout those areas, so they do look pretty darn nice. There's no sloppiness as far as the paintwork goes on those. They're really beautifully applied within the body, definitely very nicely done for sure. Very nice realistic coloration in my opinion as well, and the light color of these spikes really nicely contrast with this reddish coloration. They play off of each other beautifully. I really do quite like that. You can see there is some significant articulation in this, something we didn't have with the Ankylosaurus. So you have articulation in the midsection of the animal, which causes you to actually be able to pose it in different ways. And of course, I think that's Yeah, that's the action feature, so that's why, but I really do like that. I think that's a very nice touch for sure. As we lead back further into the back, you can see that the very nice armored area continues all the way down, and it looks beautiful as far as the very nice sculpt work, the wonderful skin texture. You can see lots of different scaling and everything throughout. Then once we reach the tail, you can see a few little hints of that red that continues down, which does look really quite cool, and then it transitions primarily to this nice dark gray. The sculpt continues to be really nicely done as far as the skin texture and the very fine detailing goes. And I actually normally don't like when they kind of cut that off because you can still see that there is an armored appearance to this, but I actually do like it on this figure because it helps to give it some color variation, because primarily most of the body's this reddish color. It's mostly what you take note of, but then down here on the tail you get this same gray as far as what you have on the underside, so that looks really cool, at least giving it a little color variation. And there's not really too much color going on the figure, as we primarily just have the gray, the red, the spike color here, which is that light white color, and then you have a black for the beak, and that's pretty much it. So for the most part, there isn't too much going on as far as paint, but I do like what is included. You can also see on the underside there's kind of some like hanging skin here in the throat region. There's also some pretty nice detailing as far as the skin texture on the underside goes. It looks really nice, lots of kind of skin bunching up and folding and everything all over the place. And you can see kind of some osteoderms and like extra areas of the armor that lead down into the body here that also sport that nice reddish coloration even down here on the side. Both of the legs look fantastic as far as the detailing goes. Beautiful creasing here in the joint of the elbow, really nicely sculpted foot. The nails are not painted, they are just the same coloration of gray that you see for the rest of the body. But they do both look really good as far as the legs go and the feet. Very nice scoot-like appearance to them. Beautiful muscle tone, very nicely defined as well. And that's probably the same thing we're going to see over here on this side. Yep, definitely really nicely done. Very nice elbow there, beautiful kneecap as well. You can take note of the nicely done musculature, a really beautiful scoot-like appearance on both feet, and the very nicely sculpted nails. Beautiful skin texture on the legs as well, as far as the really nice scaling. And then we can lead back out into the tail. So as far as the sculpt work goes, this is a really nicely done figure. Again, the only thing that's a little bit of an issue is the inaccurate head. But other than that, I really think it's a very nice Sauropelta figure. So as far as articulation goes, we've got the articulation here of the head, which is on a swivel, so you can completely turn the dinosaur's head upside down if you want him to look totally insane. You also have articulation right here in the neck, so you have double the articulation, and once again on a swivel, so we can continue to make him look even crazier. We also have articulation in the midsection, which is really cool, as I stated earlier. And then of course articulation here in the tail, which also operates the attack feature, the action feature. And then on the legs we can go forward and back and away from the body just a little bit, ever so slightly. And then we can also do the same here on the rear legs as far as forward and back as well. I don't think the legs move away from the body. Now, they don't really seem to do that on the rear legs, but they do a little bit on the front legs. So some really nice articulation. As far as the action feature goes, like I said, we use the tail here to maneuver the upper part of the animal around, which then swings its spiked area here around, causing it to defend itself and beat up whatever dinosaur you are going to include in that battle. So really nice action feature, exactly what you would probably want for a species like this. As far as the size goes, from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 6.5 inches, I would say, or about 17 centimeters in length. And for a height, the highest point is going to be that spike right there. You're looking at about 2.5 inches or about 6.5 centimeters, somewhere in that range. For a size comparison, there is Robert Muldoon and the Attack Pack Colovosaurus next to our Sauropelta, really showing you that as far as size goes, like I stated earlier in the review, it is a pretty small figure. I would say probably one of the smallest in the Mattel line, honestly. It really does have a pretty small stature for sure, but at the same time, that's not a bad thing, because with how many figures we've had so far from the Jurassic World line, I'm sure anybody collecting it is probably running out of room at this point, so it's always cool to have a smaller figure like this that is very easy to fit into any collection. So this Mattel Primal Attack Savage Strike Sauropelta for the Jurassic World line is really, really nicely done. continuing to impress is Mattel with each and every release that comes out for the Jurassic World line. And as far as this one goes, the only downside that I can honestly find anywhere on the figure, as far as my own concerns would go, would be the inaccurate head. But even still, again, the dinosaurs of Jurassic World are not full 100% dinosaurs, so we don't need to base the figures off of scientific accuracy, regardless of things like the inaccurate head. So we can let that slide in a Jurassic World figure, so I don't really mind it too much. Regardless, I still think that the head is actually really quite nicely detailed, as is the rest of the body. The entire body sports some really beautiful sculpt work for sure. As far as the very nice scaling on the body, it really does look incredible. The armored appearance looks great all over the back, and the entire dinosaur has a very, very highly detailed sculpt in every possible way when it comes to even the spikes up there on the back of the dinosaur. The paint application looks really good, again similar to what we now know a Sauropelta had, so the coloration is pretty darn cool. I love that they've gone that route and kind of given it that reddish coloration that we now know that Sauropelta in fact had. So that was a really cool little touch, almost like an Easter egg there done by Mattel, that if you don't know about the Sauropelta, you may never have known about that paint scheme. Again, I don't know if it was done for sure on purpose, but if it wasn't, then way to go Mattel on accidentally giving this a potentially very realistic color scheme. And if they did it on purpose, again, way to go Mattel on adding that really cool little factor into this figure. I think the action feature is also really cool and really nicely done. There's probably not too much that you can do as far as an action feature goes on a Sauropelta, so what they have provided us with is definitely pretty much picture perfect for how a Sauropelta figure should probably go. So this figure is really, really nice. Definitely a very cool addition for the Jurassic World collection. Again, one last huge thank you to Mattel for sending this over to us to review here on the channel. And if you want to pick one of these up, you can find a link in the description to Entertainment Earth where you can currently purchase this. I will check to see if there is a link on Amazon, as they occasionally do have these Jurassic World figures in stock, but you can also check Target, and I do believe these will be coming to Walmart very soon as well. So either way, make sure you find this figure somewhere, make sure you pick it up, because it is a really, really cool Jurassic World figure once again from Mattel. And also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.